What's up, everybody? This is Dominic DeAngelo. This is adfreeshows.com. It's Rumor and Innuendo, or is it Two Dynamite Dudes, or is it the Keystone Cast, or is it Get the Tray Tables? Because I'm here with my degenerate brother, Mr. Marcus DeAngelo. It says Robert Karpelis underneath him, but he's my idiot brother. He's not really an idiot, but he's my brother. Marcus, how are you?
I was fine till the insults.
Oh, no, it's a delay.
Oh my gosh, Dominic! Again with the delay. Dom, your internet. What a Mickey Mouse operation you've got going.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Are we lined up now? Can you hear me right now?
No, we are not. I mean, I can hear you. You're fine.
Dang it. My goodness. What is going on here? I was all ready for this big pomp and circumstance, all this junk happening, and now we're on a freaking delay. Well, all hey, right. Let's say hi to some folks in here. Let's see here. Marcus is with me, everyone. This is my brother. Travis Wardlow, so did you pick the right day to be late? Oh my gosh, yes, I'm getting really razzed in the chat here. Dom probably uploading working stiff and forgot the live show.
Yeah, gotta let the record reflect that this is all Dom and his terrible internet.
I don't know what's happening. I usually have good internet. I was hardwired in here. This is all a fan. Jennifer V says, "What a great reunion." Stuart Dree says you're both in sync here. So we're both in sync, apparently. So I'm Justin Timberlake and you're JC Slater, whatever the guy's name is. I don't know.
The guy from Saved by the Bell. I don't know.
Yeah, that's AC Slater. You're right. You're right. But hey, we got some stuff to talk today, Marcus, if we can. Maybe I should bring up this old frame here. Look at this, Marcus. Boom. Flash from the past.
Hideous.
Oh my God. How about that? Hideous, truly hideous. But all right, let's talk a little Dynamite if we can, Marcus. Well, when's the last time you watched Dynamite? Yeah. Oh my God, this is on delay. My goodness, Marcus, vamp real quick. I will be right back. 1 second.
Oh man,
you just talk. Right, plug yourself. Put yourself over. Put yourself over.
Dominic is going to leave me here to just improv on my own.
I am. I'm leaving the studio. I'll be back.
Wow.
One more try here.
Hopefully the connection is going to be better for everybody once Dominic gets out of here. He's gone. Great. But yeah, so those of you who don't know, I'm Dominic's brother. Seems like probably a lot of loyal listeners in here for Dominic, which is awesome. But I'm Marcus DeAngelo, and I'm a podcast host myself. I host podcasts with Jake the Snake Roberts, Ted DiBiase, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and I just started a new one with Lance Archer, which has been a really great experience. Lance has got some awesome stories to tell. He's been wrestling for more than 20 years, so getting to hear his stuff has been just eye-opening. It's incredible to get kind of like this new generation of wrestler as compared to like the golden era of wrestling guys that I tend to speak with. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. I love getting to talk to wrestling fans and chit chat about wrestling in general. Full disclosure, when it comes to modern day wrestling, I'm a little behind the times. I read up on what's going on a lot of the time, and I'll follow along on the internet. But when it comes to watching it, it's just for context. My full job is pro wrestling, so I do the podcasting and I also do social media. So all day long, for like whatever 10-12 hours a day, I'm watching pro wrestling. So yeah, that's why when it comes to me watching, it's kind of catch as catch can. Dominic, you're back. You're a little blurry. How's our timing now?
Timing is good right now, as far as I can see.
All right, Dominic broke out like an old flip phone to record this thing on. It looks like so. Let's do it, man.
No, I got my freaking 52K dial up going on right now. But yeah, let's talk a little Dynamite. Albeit maybe I'm blurry, but I'm literally using my hotspot right now to air this, so it might be a little bit like that. But Marcus,
hey, look, as long as we're on time and we can speak in real time, that normally makes for a decent show.
Maybe we'll see. We haven't done a show together in a while, so our chemistry might be a bit off, anyways. But hey, whose chemistry was kind of on, I think, was Orange Cassidy versus Chris Jericho in the opening bout of AEW Dynamite. They hailed from Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, PA, Marcus, home of the Baby Penguins. How about that?
How about that, indeed? And pretty soon, Dom, they're coming our way, Pittsburgh, here in early October.
We will be talking about that here in actually a little bit because a big match got announced for that show. As a matter of fact, Marcus, we might have to do a little tag action going on there coming up. But either way, Orange Cassidy took on Chris Jericho, which was kind of like people have been critical of the Chris Jericho angle, the high guys, the learning tree, all that stuff. I understand that. But I think this was a pretty satisfying kind of match. Orange Cassidy ended up hitting him with a roll of quarters after he dumped a whole bunch of change on his blue Bentley. So that kind of made a little sense in that one. But we're going to talk a little bit about, we're going to jump a little bit all over the place here. Marcus, what have you thought about, let me see here. What has been your impressions of this whole Jon Moxley thing going on initially with this, him invading kind of thing and kind of taking over and being very dark and thing. He's got Cesaro by him. He's got Pac by his side now. Marina Shafir. They're kind of teasing this invasion thing. Do you like this? What do you kind of think? Or is this kind of like, I don't know, half baked for you from what you're seeing?
I like it. I think that it's storytelling, man, and that's really the greatest criticism when it comes to AEW all along has been their storytelling. And right now, I think that's what they're showing has been some of the most compelling stuff I've seen recently. Where it's like, for me as a wrestling fan, it's the big flashy matches don't tend to catch my attention. Like where it's just like, hey, this guy's really great, so is this guy, and they're wrestling tonight. I'm like, okay, but why are they wrestling? Like, do they hate each other? Like, what's the backstory on this? And sometimes my biggest criticism has been like, well, it's just going to be a good match, so they're wrestling. It's like, that's not enough for me, pal. I want to hear some story. I want to hear what's going on. Why these guys need? Why does one guy need to win this side of the fight to prove himself? Like what happened between these two? So I say all that to say the fact that they're telling a good, cohesive, kind of straightforward story here with Jon Moxley and the guys and Bryan Danielson and everything that's going on there. I'm for it.
What do you think of the plastic bag spot, by the way?
Loved it. It's such a cool callback to Terry Funk and Ric Flair back actually 35 years ago, 1989. I love that stuff. And I know that there was like some drama surrounding it, right? Some people thought it was a bit too far.
Yes. Oh yeah, that's been kind of the response on things, so to speak.
So it got heat, is what you're telling me, and that's what you want. So like to me it's that's good heat. Like if the crowd is getting up in arms like, okay, that's too much, like, okay, that tells you should do more of that sort of thing.
Right. Yeah, definitely caught some eyes on there. But with I'm kind of leaning with you a little bit. What they did too on Dynamite, they teased Private Party wanting to challenge the BCC for their trios titles, and Isaiah Cassidy was kind of laying the law down, being like, hey, we're coming after you and you better watch out, kind of things like that, challenging Jon Moxley even. And sure enough, they ambush the BCC, but it doesn't end up going in their favor. The numbers game comes into play. They get beat down. Jon Moxley takes a hammer and bashes Isaiah Cassidy's hand with it and says, he basically sends you've stayed in the same spots for the past 5 years. You haven't changed. Here's going to be a little motivation. He bashes his hand with a hammer. I liked it. I thought because that is a big criticism. Like, okay. And Marcus, to what you're saying, AEW still does that pretty much on the regular when it comes to doing shows. It's like, hey, here's a match. It's going to be a good match. But then there's no build to it. There's no story to it. There's a lot of that still going on. So this is like this is one of their primary storylines that is actually kind of engaging a little bit, So, but what they did with Private Party was cool. And I think it sets them up and addresses an elephant in the room. Was like, yeah, you haven't done anything with Private Party in the past 5 years. They're in the same spot they were. So hopefully this will be like, from a storyline standpoint, a motivator for Isaiah Cassidy. But in real life, you want them to kind of build up new teams because AEW has a lot of work to do when it comes to that kind of stuff and making things make sense. So
Andrew Hermis, researcher extraordinaire, is in the chat, and he said Private Party used to be a top act. My, how the world has changed. And he's right. It's, look, it used to be back in the day. You'd take a talented tag team, you'd put them in a good storyline, and then you'd have them go over at the end of the story, which elevates them. and the guys that they defeat, would preferably be well-established tag team, so it doesn't hurt them. They're Teflon, and then you establish these guys, and then you move them along. It seems like they were just putting them in really cool matches. As a matter of fact, Dom, I remember you and I seeing Private Party against the Lucha Bros live in Pittsburgh. I want to say this was like 2019, maybe 2020.
Oh,
You and I saw them live here in Pittsburgh, and it was a crazy, awesome match. I was like, boy, what a lot of potential there. And then it's like, okay, they just disappeared or whatever. So it was really cool, and then nothing happened. So hopefully they're starting to kind of turn this thing around with good, cohesive storytelling.
right. Like you want things to kind of line up, and my big criticism yesterday is like WWE's can kind of been whining and dining the fans a little bit with what they do with their storytelling right now. They make things make sense. Things build over weeks.
Dom,
You gotta yes.
need you to pull up Joseph Wade Walters' comment there. It's a pretty important one.
We'll hold on to that, Marcus. We'll table that one for a second.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
But we've been WWE has kind of had this cohesive thing going and made things bringing talent in and out and kind of slow building to a lot of this stuff, whereas AEW has been like, it's been fast food. It's been like, hey, here's an intriguing match for this week. Okay, we're done this week. Let's see what happens next week with this other star and this other guy we're going to throw into the mix here. So they still have been doing that, but when they pay attention to some of their other storylines, it hasn't been too bad. They still, I think, kind of have a little bit of work to do. Since we haven't done this show in forever together, want to get your thoughts on Will Ospreay overall too, just as what AEW's been doing with him in the role as a babyface, kind of being almost the big new face of AEW right now.
Man, what a freak athlete that guy is. You see the stuff that he does in the ring, and you can kind of see why he's sort of been crowned the best worker on the face of the planet right now. Just because it's like, holy smokes, can he do stuff that like doesn't seem like normal humans should be able to do ever. So it's like, boy, it makes him stand out. Seems like he's really connected with the crowd. The bruv thing seems to be getting over very strongly. Dom, my criticism, if you were to guess what my criticism would be of Will Ospreay, what do you suppose you would say?
Doesn't sell enough?
Yep, that's it. So, like, you can do these really crazy, spectacular, incredible looking maneuvers and take these incredible bumps. He does both. He takes these amazing looking, looks like they killed him type bumps and also delivers those kind of maneuvers. But if you don't sell it, if your opponent doesn't sell it, and we just move along in the match, what did you even just do? It's like, hey, that looked cool. Oh, okay, we're still going. So it's like that's my biggest criticism, and I know that to a degree that's just modern wrestling, pal, and it's just par for the course nowadays. But honestly, it's when I watch it again, it's part of storytelling. It's not just the storyline that's the storytelling. It's the storytelling that you do in the ring. I want to see if you take a big move and you kick out, you need to be hurting badly, trying to scrape your way back into this match. That's storytelling, and it's something that I think is lacking in his game. I hope that they that he and others start to incorporate it more, but I have my doubts that they will.
He's kind of been doing a little bit of a better job at some of that stuff, I've noticed. But yeah, I think that's like kind of like a common occurrence across AEW in particular when it comes to, hey, the lack of selling and certain things that happen and everything like that. It's like, boom, spot. And then when you have like a slower paced and more story build match, then that stands out a little bit more. That's kind of been like the running game for since its inception, basically, I would say, for in a lot of ways.
Hey, wait, I do want to highlight something that Dre Owens said earlier. He said that they need like a Mike Tenay character, is his quote. They need a Mike Tenay type person to give history on new performers. And like, seriously, they did that back in the day in WCW. I remember when they introduced Ultimo Dragon. Mike Tenay told you like his full history, and it's like, he's got all these belts, and here's the reason why. And it's like that all of a sudden I was like, boy, this guy's really something else. Like, look at this history that he's got, where, and I always go back to this reference. When they brought in Vikingo to face Kenny Omega, they were like, hey, this is a great match. And I'm like, okay, like you're telling me that, but I'm not familiar with Vikingo. So like, obviously me, I work in wrestling. I'm familiar with him, but I'm putting myself in the shoes of a normal fan. Like, cool, a great match apparently. Like, why is it a great match? What's Vikingo's history? How did he train? How long has he been in wrestling? Why is he coming here? Like, there's like so many questions that were left unanswered, and it all just boiled down to, well, these guys are gonna have a great match, so here they are.
Yeah, that's it. They kind of didn't give you anything to, they thought everybody's in the know, where it's not. You have to explain everything to fans. Like you should treat everybody like their first time showing up and everything like that. And, I think WWE has been doing a great job with some of that, with video packages and certain things like that to make them stand out. AEW has done some of this stuff when it comes to, the short term. Hey, this is what happened on Collision. We're going to show you a clip of this, and here's what's going on. But it's all very just in 1 week span, and then it's done. It's just like there's not a lot of continuity from week in and week out, where it's like, okay, something to sink my teeth into so much. Let me see who else I wanted to get your thoughts on. Nigel McGuinness getting back in the mix with Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson here. The teases that they're going to be combating at AEW Grand Slam next week. That's if Bryan Danielson is recovered from the plastic bag incident. He was originally supposed to face Darby Allin, Marcus, but since he couldn't compete, Darby Allin's facing Jon Moxley instead and putting his title shot on the line. But now, if he can compete, now Bryan Danielson's going up against Nigel McGuinness. So it was very frustrating last week when they did that. I mean, I'm excited to see Nigel McGuinness back in the ring and going up against a classic rival like Danielson, but still kind of is like, there's little holes in this storytelling here.
Have they been talking about Nigel McGuinness and his history or is it like, again, is it for some fans just like, oh, hey, the announcer is going to wrestle? Like that's I don't know. Are they doing that? Are they talking about Nigel McGuinness and his history?
So what they're doing right now is they have kind of been referencing it, and especially last night, they did have a little technical difficulties when it came to their video package airing. But once it did, they showed old footage of ROH in their rivalry then between Nigel and Danielson, and really well done. They did some little brief interviews with Mark Briscoe and Roderick Strong, and it made me think too. It's just like, wow, this has been such a missed opportunity for Tony Khan to really embrace ROH over the years since he's purchased it and like make it part of the show. You could make this brand an established, credible, respectable brand where it's like you have these like hard-hitting dudes that are like all a part of this. The legacy of Bryan Danielson, the legacy of Nigel McGuinness, Roderick Strong, Mark Briscoe, the Briscoe brothers, Samoa Joe. You have all these names, and Tony Khan has not taken advantage of that whatsoever. It's just been like this, hey, this is like AEW Dark Elevation Light now, is what ROH has turned into. And it's like, what that video package made me think is like, wow, this used to be a credible, fun brand that like was really fun to be a part of in like it was a good alternative for WWE back in the day. And now it's just like, okay, you have these guys and it's great to see them here, like a Nigel and a Danielson in this old footage, but look at what you could have done in this course of time and what you could have made the most of with that brand. So a little bit of a head scratcher.
Here's a question for you too, Dom. What is Bryan Danielson recovering from? Having a bag over his head?
Yeah, because he was nearly suffocated. Jon Moxley really put that bag on him for a long time. That was one of my criticisms of that spot, was like he like basically killed him.
He's like, but he's like, I couldn't breathe for a while. I can now, but because a week or so ago I had a hard time breathing, I'm afraid I can't compete tonight. Like, I think that sort of buries him too. where it's like, boy, was I almost passed out, or I did pass out from lack of breath, but I started breathing again. But still, it was terrible, so I'm not going to wrestle.
It's very weird, but I will say the spot itself is so like jarring for a lot of people that it kind of, and their ecoscope of what they've done to go to that next level, that's like at the top of it for it, because you think about like all the crazy crap that AEW does do. So they made this thing like feel like a big deal. So him like trying to recover from this, I'm at least tipping the cap to that because it's like, okay, you're making that look like a very, very bad extreme spot moment. So I can kind of buy into that a little bit, but yeah,
I'm
it's just
sorry, I
like,
just
yeah,
can't. I couldn't breathe for a while. Sorry, guys, can't compete.
maybe his lungs really hurt, Marcus, and he's having trouble catching his breath again. And are you an active athlete? Oh yeah, you are.
I am. I am.
Have you
Dominic.
tried putting a bag? I don't want to say
Part of the training. Part of the
Is it?
training is some guy had a bag over my head for a while. Andrew pointed out that Nigel didn't suffocate him, but let's have those two have a match. Yeah, why? Is it just like, and that's this again, this points to the problem, which is like, well, here's the story. These guys used to have an issue all these years ago. It's like, who cares? I don't care. Like, make me care about it first. I care about the fact that somebody tried to suffocate him. How about like Cesaro was in the ring with him? Like, is Cesaro not culpable here? Like, have him fight him if you're trying to have him work his way up to Moxley. Like, at least fight one of the guys that tried to suffocate you. If Nigel had come into the ring and help grab the bag or hold his legs or something, I could get behind it. But the idea that you're like, oh, they had this huge issue 15 years ago or whatever, longer than that. All these years ago, though, they didn't like each other. It's like, okay, like, it happens in wrestling all the time.
Yeah, why does Nigel get to jump in front of the line of how many people in the locker room that are active competitors? And he's like, hey, I had this beef with Danielson for years. I want this contract. Tony Khan made it happen. It is very much a...
This guy's been reading format sheets at TV, and all of a sudden he gets to fight the champion? Get out of here.
He's doing freaking magic and stuff, and now he gets all of a sudden...
It buries your title. It buries your title. Next guy up, the guy who's been announcing for a while. It's like, what? It's like once our champion recovers from having a bag on his head, though. All right, what's next, Dom? I'm done burying that angle.
Do you like Mariah May, Marcus? What have you seen of her?
I do. Love her attitude. She's got a great look. And yeah, really, it's, more than anything, it's like the way she presents herself. She just seems like a credible heel. It's like you kind of want to dislike her, don't you?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
she's a Jezebel. That's like the definition of a Jezebel, right?
Has JR used that terminology?
Not with her. He's only announced big matches so far, like recently.
Okay.
So, glad you're paying attention to the product.
I admitted it when you had to go and restart your internet. I was like, boy, I tell you what, I do wrestling all day, so I don't watch very often. However, I do stay on top of a lot of the stuff, and I see this stuff on social media, so I can speak intelligently on it.
Yeah, I know you can.
I saw the bag on the guy's head, Dom.
The guy's head. Did you see Hangman Page almost attacked Tony Schiavone, Marcus? Did you see that?
Boy, I won't stand for that. For that.
Well, thankfully, dear friend of us, Jeff Jarrett, came out and made the save.
My man, Double J.
He's our guy, man. Robert takes exception to him because he takes up our time slot on Mondays. But I'm a big Jeff Jarrett advocate. Alliteration, fellow alliterator with his initials. So props to that. But yeah, Jeff Jarrett looks like at some point he's going to fight Hangman Page. They haven't announced anything yet with those two, but Hangman's been doing the Magnum TA, but like this loose cannon kind of like, I want vengeance, and I'm obsessed with vengeance after I beat Swerve Strickland. So,
well, I love when you get Jeff Jarrett involved, I'm here for it, man. Because look, it's I talk all the time about good storytelling and presenting yourself the right way and doing it the old school way. And let's face it, Jeff Jarrett is doing it at a really, really high level. Whether he's over there in Cardiff, Wales, getting like the biggest babyface pop and reaction of the night, or whether he's back here at home slapping drinks out of people's hands and being a heel, like Jeff Jarrett is over. Like it or not, folks, I know people got burned out on him with being the king of the mountain in TNA for so long, but like Jeff Jarrett, he knows how to work, and it shows every single time he's on camera.
Absolutely. It's like he adds a whole nother level of engagement and fun to it. And he's doing a good job as a babyface right now. He's like the moral compass of AEW at this moment in time,
And if I were you, I would go to wrestlingfigures.com and pick up his exclusive Double J action figure. It's over there right now.
Wow, Marcus. We're about promotion here, but not quite yet. Speaking of, though, there's a lot of players on the AEW roster. Hey, there's a lot of players in the NFL. Let's talk about a little bit of DraftKings, the Pick Six app. Have you tried this Pick Six app, Marcus?
I have not. Gambling freaks me out.
Well, here's the thing about it. You can download the Pick Six app and use promo code Rumor, and you can put $5 on a bet. You get $50 back. But what you do is you pick, like tonight, my Jets are playing the New England Patriots, and they are playing the Patriots, right? Or are they playing the Bills? Oh my God, what kind of fan am I? Either way, you can pick. Somebody's playing the Jets. You can play. You can pick Aaron Rodgers. Will he throw over 250 yards? Will he throw under? You could make that pick. Hey, will Garrett Wilson catch over 70 yards? Make that pick. Will Breece Hall get 2 touchdowns? Under 2 touchdowns? Make that pick. To combine them up together, and then you get a bet, and you win some prizes. You win some cash. Really easy, really fun way to kind of bet, a different alternate way to bet. And try it out. Go to DraftKings Pick Six app and download it. Use promo code Rumor. You get the little bonus bet there. So, yes, the crown is yours with DraftKings. I can't believe I remembered that. So there we go. Marcus, did want to touch upon a couple more topics here before we close on out. Janel Grant has hired a PR firm, SKDK, and this is in timely fashion, right ahead, and they even made this announcement in the press release ahead of the Vince McMahon docuseries that is set to release on Netflix, the Mr. McMahon docuseries. They hired this PR firm that formerly represented survivors of Jeffrey Epstein, Marilyn Manson, Harvey Weinstein, and former employees of the Washington Commanders. So they're meaning business here, Marcus. The quote is, Janel Grant is a survivor of incomprehensible abuse, sexual assault, and human trafficking at the hands of Vince McMahon, John Laurinaitis, and WWE. She has courageously come forward to seek justice for herself and other survivors, and we are honored to support her in sharing her story. It takes immense strength to speak out against Goliath, and we encourage all survivors of sexual harassment, assault, and human trafficking to seek the support they need. So, Marcus, wanted to get your thoughts just overall on, this whole situation. But in turn, we're getting that Netflix documentary coming up, and a lot of people are going to get some eyes on there, and I'm sure you're going to be watching too, right?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'll be covering it on the podcasts that I do, a few of them. Certainly myself and Ted DiBiase are going to be talking about it on Everybody's Got a Pod. Jake and I are probably going to discuss it. Jim Duggan says he doesn't want to watch. He's like, I just don't even want to see. Which, I understand that perspective as well, because it's like, a lot of this is really dark stuff. And it seems like, between Dark Side of the Ring and this sort of thing, it's like a kind of a cloud of darkness seems to follow the wrestling industry in many respects. And now here's here's the most powerful man ever in the history of the industry, and here's all this horrible story. So yeah, it's gonna be difficult to take in, but yeah, I mean, as far as all of it's concerned, Dom, I don't know that I'm really going to express any kind of a specific opinion. Let's see how things shake out with all of it. Obviously, if Vince McMahon did any of the things that it's being said that he did, holy smokes, he deserves to have the book thrown at him. But let's see how it all shakes out. But yeah, it's as far as her hiring a PR firm, sure, she should. This is, her name is out there now in the public forum. She's not just some regular citizen anymore who happened to used to work for WWE. She's out there now, and she's got to help to ensure that her message is coming across properly and doesn't get misconstrued. How many times do we see somebody send an innocuous tweet and then all of a sudden it turns into like a big thing because maybe they said something in a weird way and it was taken out of context? So no, it's 100% support that decision. She's got to protect herself from a PR standpoint.
Right. It's going to be interesting to see how this documentary just kind of all lays out, because it's directed by Christopher Smith, who did the Tiger King stuff, but also it's produced by Bill Simmons, who has his ties with WWE, and on top of it too has his ties with Nick Khan. So they have a relationship, but it looks like WWE is really trying to get ahead of all this by doing this and kind of being like, hey, here is what we have about Vince McMahon. This is all we know. This is everything here. Take it for what you will, and now enjoy Raw on Netflix coming up. That's kind of what it feels like.
Isn't it weird too that this documentary is coming out on Netflix about Vince and WWE based on all rumors that we've been hearing are not super excited about some of the things that are being relayed in this documentary, and then it's like, oh, but also we're partnering with Netflix. It's like this horrible stuff is coming on Netflix, but also here we come Netflix. Like I don't know, it's crazy.
Yeah, I'm curious though, if is it more like in a tandem thing? It's like, okay, yeah, we understand this is going to be bad. This is bad, guys. Here it is though. Here it is. And let's move on from it. Vince is no longer with us. Now we're gonna do the Netflix thing with Raw.
Honestly, even without them giving those kind of disclaimers, like he's no longer part of our company, I think that it's going to do is mean good business for WWE at the end of the day, because people are going to tune into that. Even people who aren't familiar with wrestling are going to tune in to hear the story of Vince McMahon, and then they're going to say, well, I wonder what's going on with WWE right now. Like, what's their product like? So you're going to get new eyeballs on WWE.
Right. No, totally. It's like I think it's probably a great move on WWE's part to just do it. Like, yeah, this is part of the thing. It is going to get more eyes on it, and then you're getting added eyes just being on Netflix in general, and reaching out to another audience that maybe gets cut the cord, months or years back. So interesting stuff. Close out with just a couple more thoughts. I forgot to mention too that Marcus, the big match that's going to go down in Pittsburgh on AEW for their 5th anniversary show of Dynamite will be Ricochet versus Will Ospreay. They made that announcement for that international title, so pretty big deal match. They put Ricochet over big on Dynamite as he beat the Beast Mortos in a very fun match of the night, it was, in my opinion. And so, yeah, something to kind of look forward to in the Steel City there, brother.
Yeah, should be a great match. But again, it's, they're doing the old, like, these guys wrestled before and it was cool. So here you go. Here it is
true.
now.
It's true.
Yeah.
Here it is.
It's just like more of this, like, I have a feeling I'm going to be in attendance at this, and I'm sure I'll enjoy the match on like a very surface standpoint. But like, okay, why did they wrestle? And it's also, let's also mention the fact that you brought in Ricochet recently, and you're putting him against the champion. Presumably Ricochet is not going to defeat your champion. I would think not.
No, I think he's got a shot.
Even if he does, what does that do? Where are you taking it? What are you doing with him? Like, why? What's the point of all of it, Dominic? Build it to a pay-per-view. Tell me a story about these two. Now, not their old story. I don't care about their old story. I want to hear about their AEW story. What's going on between these two? Why are they having a match? Why do they still have heat with each other? All these years later, you can still talk about the old story. But how does that tie into their new story? There is no new story, and that's the problem.
They kind of did it a little bit, but yeah, it's like, you want to build that over the course of time. This seems like pretty darn quick. They're getting to the match itself. Ricochet's only 3 matches in.
Have them team up, make them a tag team against some top tag team in AEW instead. Have those two team up and show that cohesiveness. Then you can start to show like a breakdown between the two of them, and start to build a storyline where it's like, I held a grudge from whatever 8 years ago when we had a match and you kicked me in the face a little too hard or whatever. It's like there's got to be some way to tell the story.
Funny story, Marcus. They are doing that, but that's with Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher instead against the Young Bucks. Not Ricochet. Mm-hmm.
Look at Wrestling Old Head come up with ideas too for this thing, man. It's there's some pretty straightforward ways to go about this thing, and I don't know, man. It's just a lot of it feels like, hey, this is a fun combination. Let's put it on TV, and that's about all we get.
That's what a lot of AEW is right now. It's something they got to work on, especially with this TV deal approaching, potentially new shows coming into play, and maybe even reaching out to a broadcast channel and going in that direction too. So. Yeah, lots to think about.
Something I'd like to see you work on before the next time I come on the show is your wardrobe. You're over there dressed like Luigi.
Hey, it's me.
and I feel like I should have come dressed as Mario if you would have told me what the gimmick was here.
It's New York Jets Day with Luigi. But hey, do you think Ken Shamrock played Super Mario Brothers? It's because he happened to have an interview with Chris Van Vliet and revealed that he's a part of a Legends deal with WWE. Here, I'll give
Is
a
anybody
little quote real
surprised by
quick.
this reveal? Let's make an action figure of him and put him on a video game. Like, you're not on.
Well,
You're
the
not
thing
getting
is he was.
that deal.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that too breaking of news, to be honest, because like he was on the WWE 2K24 game, so you'd assume, right? He was part of the deal.
Yeah,
You
they made a
assume he's
toy of
there.
him like earlier this year. So yeah, he's in there, pal.
He's there. But he said, I've had a relationship with them forever, even since when I went away. We did a Legends contract, and so I've always been a part of them. It's one of those things where I think I spent enough time there and did enough there where I feel like I'm a part of that family forever. So yeah, Marcus, you know me. I was a huge Ken Shamrock fan back in the day.
He was
Loved
awesome.
his
Yeah.
rivalry with The Rock. He was a badass, man. And do you think he deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame?
100%. Yes, for sure. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Ken Shamrock. He's still in good shape to this day. I'd kick the tires on having him do a short little match or something. I think that Ken Shamrock brings a lot of value, whether it's from the standpoint of having him on video games or making action figures of him, or like make him an on-screen personality. This dude is a very well-known bad dude, so might want to get him to establish a little credibility with somebody who you're trying to build up as a bad dude.
How about Braun Breaker?
Boy, that would be something. What if Braun Breaker came out and beat Ken Shamrock? Obviously he's not beating 1998 Ken Shamrock, so there's a difference. But still, it's a good way to establish a Braun Breaker is have him go over against somebody like Ken Shamrock. Or if Ken can't go in the ring anymore, have him accompany him to the ring or something. Have him put him over. Have him be the GM for the night and set up a Lions Den match with Braun Breaker. I'd watch that.
Rawr, rawr.
Mm-hmm.
You can have him go up against
Lions.
Yeah, the Lions Den. Oh man, that'd be great stuff. Have him go up against Ilya Dragunov too. Yeah, there's some possibilities with bringing in Ken into the WWE. So
yeah, man.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Marcus, we should bring you around here a little bit more often.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you can figure out your internet situation, you've got like a mouse on a treadmill running your internet over there. So if you can dial that in, then I'm in.
All right. Yeah, we can do. Why don't you put a little bit of stuff? You're busy, man. I know you're kind of new to this podcast game, but a little green behind the ears there, so to speak.
Wet behind the ears.
No, whatever, Marcus. Why don't you just talk about yourself?
I did while you were gone, but I'll give a little refresher as we're heading out the door. So I've got a YouTube channel called Golden Era Network. And over there, you're going to find Hacksaw Jim Duggan's podcast. It's the only place to get it. As a matter of fact, a new episode just came out today. It's a Hacksaw Mailbag where he answers fan questions. And it's also the home of my podcast with Ted DiBiase. Everybody's got a pod. So that's why it's the Golden Era Network. It's the Golden Era of wrestling, and those two represent it. I've also got my podcast with Jake Roberts, and that has its own YouTube channel. It's youtube.com/@SnakePitPod, or it's available on all of your podcast apps. And yes, Lance Archer and I have got a podcast. As a matter of fact, we go live again this Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and it's going to be a Murder Hawk mailbag. We're going to be answering listener questions. So if you're a Lance Archer fan, as we all are or should be, get over there and make sure that you check out Lance and I live on YouTube, and that'll be on the One True Sport Network.
Yes, you can go to OneTrueSportTV.com. Check out that. Potentially tonight, still got to confirm, solidify, keep your eyes peeled for the next recording of One of a Kind with RVD. Me and RVD will go live. Next time we do, we'll be on OneTrueSportTV.com. We'll also be on RVDTV.com live. So be sure to check that out whenever we do go live. This week, too, we'll also have Straight Talk with the Boss Magnum TA, Greg Gagne. I'll be talking a little bit of current wrestling with them, and we'll always talk a little classic wrestling as well. So 4HorsemanNetwork.com, check that out. As far as anything else goes, I think that that should do it, Marcus. Yeah. Oh, working stiff. Be on the lookout for that coming up. Robert and Scott will be chatting it up about Dynamite. I'm sure. I'm sure they'll give their thoughts on the Beast Mortos. Potentially, what else goes on? Jeff Jarrett's babyface run against Hangman Page. All that stuff going down. Plastic bags maybe will be discussed too again. So we'll see how that goes. But Marcus, wow, brother's back again, man.
Hey, I do have to put over one more thing before we get out of here, Dominic, and that's
Uh-oh.
International Wrestling Cartel here in Pittsburgh. Guys, if you aren't familiar with International Wrestling Cartel, that's where Wardlow came from. It's where
Yes.
Cole Carter came from. It's where Britt Baker came from. A lot of really talented people have come out of International Wrestling Cartel, and they run monthly shows. The next one is coming up here in early October, and you can watch that one at Fight TV. So go out of your way to check out International Wrestling Cartel. As a matter of fact, I am a backstage correspondent there, Dom. But I don't know, Dom, a couple of the guys there have been getting a little bit pushy with me, getting a little bit physical, and they don't know that I have a history in combat sports, Dominic. So who knows? Maybe I'll have to step in there and show them a thing or two at some point.
Yeah. Well, I can say that I've seen your fight skills, and I'm not impressed. I've taken you out several times in the living room. That's why we called it "Get the Trade Tables" back in the day. And so, yeah, I would say they should test their hands against you, Marcus.
Dom, tell the listeners about
What do
the
you think of
Texas
that?
cloverleaf in the kitchen, on the kitchen floor, that fateful day.
Was it on the kitchen floor?
It was. It was. I'll never forget it because you were just tapping out. Just couldn't
I
get
had to
enough
tap.
of
The
that
Texas
tap out.
cloverleaf is painful.
Had to give it up.
Remember when I
Well,
got the upset win against you? I rolled you up, schoolboyed you in Myrtle Beach in the living room. You were down. Fat Marcus was down for the 1, 2, 3.
it was a fast count. But
No,
all
it
right,
wasn't. It was
go ahead,
legit
wrap this up, Dom, and check out International Wrestling Cartel here in Pittsburgh, folks.
Yeah, be sure to check him out. Great promotion there. Justin Plummer, he's quite the promoter. Quite the promoter, let's say that.
Top
All
to
right.
bottom,
Hey,
great organization.
we're quite the promoters here on Rumor and Innuendo. You can catch us live every day on Ad Free Shows YouTube, on Working Stiff YouTube, on Rumor and Innuendo YouTube, on WE Creative _ish, and on SEScoops.com's X account. So give us a shout out. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for the patience with the technical difficulties. I will get my mouse recharged or find a new one to start running that wheel again. Hey, see you tomorrow on Rumor and Innuendo. Best of luck in your future endeavors. And Marcus, 2 Dynamite dudes for life.
See you guys.
Peace.